Hello, I will be talking about Auguste Comte. He is the founder of Positivism, so let's try to get to know more about him through his biography. He was born on January 19, 1798 in Paris, France. During his time of birth, modern science and technology was giving birth to the Industrial Revolution. So Auguste's father was actually a government tax official while his mother was a housewife. So they were both devout Roman Catholic, so they were believing in such God. So for this one, he's actually a smart mathematician and scientist, but sadly he left school before graduating, then settled to Paris. During actually he made this decision even without any means to support himself, but he started his life in Paris by teaching mathematics and journalism. During this time, he also studied history, economics, and philosophy. Although maybe he quitted studying, he also still pursued learning by himself, enriching his knowledge. So in 1825, actually, he found love. He found love twice. The first one is 1825. He married, but sadly, the union proved unhappy, and they were eventually divorced in 1842. So during this period also he began to lecture to private audiences of French thinkers and work on the 6 volumes of his masterwork. So he already started working on his famous works nowadays. And after the first failed love, he came to have fallen in love in 1845 with a married woman, although he know that it's not gonna work, never be physical, but still she cooperated with him and encouraged him to develop his ideas further. So she also became a motivation for Comte to maybe do his works better. But sadly, this second love of him also passed. Not also, but he passed away. This actually pushed Comte to insanity, and it was during his mystical phase or this time that he began to develop a new universe or universal called religion of humanity. So maybe he got insanity or he got insane, but this also helped him open a wider understanding, or let's say wider concept of his thinking, which is religion of humanity. Let's see, we are going to talk about the word itself, positivism. So, positivism is a philosophy of science that assumes a specific epistemological, ontological, and methodological perspective. It's just like we're going to put it into there is a stage, it always goes back with science, maybe facts, things like that. You don't have, this one is just talking about there is a stage, there is a scientific stage of everything, or there is always science in everything. Let's see for this one the characteristics of positivism. So, as I mentioned earlier, science is the only valid knowledge. So, for positivism, science is the most important. So, with that, fact is the object of knowledge. You don't go away with a fact, you always should be grounded by fact. Philosophy does not possess a method different from science. So, it's like a process, there are stages about it. Next one is the task of philosophy is to find the general principles common to all sciences and to use these principles as guides to human conduct and as a basis of social organization. So actually it's just like a study also in a way that's gonna help society with the understanding of knowledges, maybe the philosophies. It's a big way to help improve maybe the people within a society. So positivism denies intuition, prior reasoning, theological and metaphysical knowledge. So as we see, it denies intuition. It should always be about science or about factual concepts, not with supernatural aspects, not with gods or anything which is beyond science. Let's talk about the laws of the 3 stages under positivism. The first one is we have the theological or fictitious stage. Let me read this one first. So this is very old and most primitive stage of interpreting science and any social phenomenon. So in primitive societies, individuals believe that each social phenomenon and events are considered to be the will of God. So from the word itself, fictitious or theological, they believe in something. They believe in something which is maybe not unseen, but for them, maybe in their mind, of course, in their mind, it exists. So they believe in that. Actually, human beings are infused with emotions, sentiments, and feeling, which lead maybe us, even us, to believe that behind the occurrence of every event, there is supernatural power. So, as I mentioned earlier, theological, they believe in something. Um, I think we can give examples for this one. For ancient people, ancient civilization, they would be referring to certain God that they believe in, right? So maybe if they feel something, they ask or they pray, they offer, they would be offering in terms of maybe their produce, their crops, anything about money, like that, anything that they believe would be helping them, which may please their believed God, like that. So that is theological. Alright, let's go to the second one. We have the metaphysical or abstract stage. Let me read this. So, people in metaphysical stage believe in God. However, they do not explain everything which happens in the society is due to the will of God. However, most of the problems take place due to the inadequacy of humans to make sense of the world. Religious and scientific view coexist in metaphysical stage. This stage is also called transitional stage because it progresses from absolute imagination to rationality. Like in a way, there is a bit of combination. So the belief in God as well as the metaphysical part or rationality, there is like a combination of both. Let's try to have an example for that. So, if someone is sick, they may associate sickness with germs, which is rational, right? So, they might use the spiritual ritual to cure the disease, social phenomena, and the metaphysical stage. So, it's explained through what we call amalgamation of religious belief and rationality. So the first one I have discussed that they would believe that there is a God, a supernatural power. But also for number two, there is like a combination of rationality and the religious belief. In a way, they believe that something, uh, they believe in something, a God. But in a way, they also go back with maybe, yeah, it's a germs. So it's factual. It's within science, right? So it's like a combination. So let's not be confused with that. And the third one is positive or scientific stage. Let me read again. So each social phenomenon in this stage is explained by the scientific findings and empirical research. For example, if someone is sick, it's not interpreted and explained as the will of God or cause due to some supernatural power of the result of wrongdoing of individual which make the god angry and unleash his wrath upon him in the form of sickness. So this is way far from the supernatural belief, superstitious about God. This is already going to concentrate with science. So from the word itself, positive or scientific stage, because with the first one and the second one earlier, there is like a backup for superstitious belief. But for this, it's actually concentrated with factual concepts. Alright, so it is explained that the people rationally and scientifically that the illness is caused by germs, right? So directly it's just about germs, nothing about superstitious belief, things like that. So according to Comte, positivism is absolutely intellectual way to determine social phenomenon. So there is no place for supernatural power in it. In this stage, religion become less predominant and scientific methods become more dominant or predominant in obtaining knowledge. No more supernatural power, it's about science. So just concentrate about the science. Let's see, we are going also to discuss about the impact to language instruction or some key points. So, of course, he had made contribution to our society as well as education. So let's talk about it. First one is Auguste Comte was one of the founders of sociology and coined the term sociology itself. I think a lot of people like sociology nowadays because it's very interesting. So he also believes sociology could unite all sciences and improve society. It's a very wide concept of learning, but it gives an opportunity for people to share their experiments or observations like that. So Comte was a positivist who argued that sociology must have a scientific base and be objective. So the same as earlier, and he theorized the three-stage development of society, as I mentioned earlier. In sociology, scientific methods may include quantitative surveys or qualitative culture and historical analysis. I think we should also point out this historical analysis. Let me doodle it. Historical analysis. And down below is about survey. So in some ways, Comte also mentioned that we should also go back with history and culture to maybe learn more about why certain people believe in supernatural things like that. But of course, he also wanted to emphasize that we should still have science let science be dominant with the beliefs, not with the superstitious belief. It's about the component of science. Let's try to have the last part. I guess I'm gonna talk about the educational theory of Comte. So as mentioned earlier, he has, of course, founded some ideas or philosophies, which is also very evident with our education system, I guess, nowadays. Now let's try to have the first one. We have the theory of value. I guess I'm gonna discuss about the questions that we should ask ourselves if we're going to talk about the theory of value. Let's see, let me first have it. Theory of value, we should try to answer the question, what knowledge and skills are worthwhile learning? What are the goals of education? So, what is your purpose? Why are we going to do such a thing? What are we going to teach like that in a way? So, we need to know first our goals so that it would be very clear for us and for the students as well. The second one is the theory of knowledge. We are going to ask ourselves about how is it different from belief? What is a mistake? What is a lie? What is a fact? Because normally we are going to talk about, let me just remove this one. Because for knowledge, sometimes we are mixing up unfactual beliefs, unfactual concepts. So we also need to make sure that the knowledge which will be taught or which will be given are maybe facts. We should try to identify if it's a lie or if it's not, so that it would be very clear. The third one is a theory of human nature. We're going to ask the questions, how does it differ from other species? What are the limits of human power? I think this one is a good discussion for people who are so into existentialism like that or science, because I think there's a lot of theories also that would coincide with this one. But generally, if we're going to talk about the theory of human nature, we should also maybe focus about the other species, the human power, the beliefs that humans can do, like that. We also have the theory of learning. What is learning, generally, of course, and how were skills and knowledge acquired? What is the process to be done? Say, for example, in a classroom setting, how is the teacher going to teach the students? In what way? Right? So we also need to consider that one. We have number 5, the theory of transmission. we are going to ask the question, by what methods? What will the curriculum be? What is the guiding principle of the teacher? Like that, when he or she is going to teach the students. I think there's always a plan or to be followed curriculum, but I guess, as always mentioned, we can also change the curriculum if it's not going to suit the context of what we are teaching or the students. All right, number 6 is the theory of society. So what is society? What institutions are involved in the educational process? Is it within a private institution? Are we going to involve private, public, things like that? We're gonna ask for the society itself as a whole, like that. And the last part is a theory of opportunity. So who is to be educated, who is to be schooled? These are the target learners, I guess, if we're going to put it in the context of learning or teaching. I think we can give examples specific. Say, for example, if you're going to teach a primary, high school, university, like those, or maybe outside campuses like that. So we need to also concentrate with this one, the theory, the educational theory. I think this is very helpful. Very helpful, especially for teachers. They will guide them in a way. Sorry about that one. I guess that's it for the educational theory. I hope it's clear. So before I end my presentation, I would like us to read this one. Positivism is a theory of knowledge according to which the only kind of sound knowledge available to humankind is that of science grounded in observation. So as I always mentioned earlier, we always go back with science, right? It's not within the concept, remember, not supernatural, not godly beliefs, but it's within science or factual concepts. So that's for Auguste Comte. I hope you've learned something from that. Thank you so much.